Hey guys, so had a little trouble with the D3 obviously. Little bonus video here for you guys, I guess, not necessarily for me, but I'll show you guys what happened here. The final drive on the driver's side, I guess you would call it, on the left side of the Dozer. I had to take it off because it was making a bunch of noise and it would stutter and stop and it would be pulling hard, and yeah, took the planetary, all this bit off while it was still together, tested it. It would randomly stop. It would make the same noise as when it was on the ground. Just seemed to be pulling harder, a little, not a grinding noise, but something wasn't right. Ran it a little bit. Dad tried running it. Then it got much worse. Did bench test. It completely stalled multiple times. I figured it was going to be a motor because I've heard the noise before, but once I took it apart, motor's fine, 100% fine. What I found was this little plate. This is the last piece of the planetary gear system. This little plate, so this is the main case for the final drive system. Like, it has a triangle bit machined in there. See the light there. This here little plate sits in there, just like goes in there like that. Now this plate is supposed to have these pins, these 3 pins. I assume it's supposed to have them welded onto this plate because you can see, focus, there's a bunch of little tack welds around those holes, but the pins are not attached anymore. So I think just over time, forward, back, these pins, those just stupid little tack welds obviously weren't going to hold over time. Pretty silly way of doing it in my opinion. Come on guys, put a real weld on there. You can't be tacking this kind of stuff together. It's pretty disappointing, but for me, oh, there they go on the ground, that's good. There's 1 and 2. So I'll call a brake clean here for cleaning stuff off. For me, this is not that big of a deal. I have just over there on the steel bench, I have a TIG welder, and I should be able to fix this myself. I'll put the pins back in, make sure they're somewhat straight. A guy can, once they're welded in, you can straighten them just a touch if they're slightly out. Because when they're all in here, they can't move around unless they all move around or one of them literally breaks off or comes out, which one of them came out. And another reason why it was even possible to come out, there was one other thing. This probably would have never showed its face, or not for a long time, if it wasn't for some screws being loose. So this piece slides in there. Now there's no bearings or anything, just grease, which I don't know. I think is probably gonna be okay as long as you, I guess a guy is probably gonna have to take this apart once in a while and grease it. Every 1 or 2 years maybe. And then also maybe rotate this if possible, just because there is some grooving in it. think of a guy can probably rotate it or see which side the tension of the track is on. Anyways, so this bit goes in there, and then what holds it in place is these slide-on collars or clips, whatever you want to call these. Let me get a better angle here. They slide in there. They slide in that groove right there. And then it's one on either side. I assume most of you guys, even if you have one, probably have no idea how this is put together yet. And then you take these tiny little, I think they're 1.6 millimeter screws. They have I think they're a standard head or hex head. I believe it's a 0.05 inch head, but I'm not 100% sure. I just had a Allen key in here that fit. I don't actually have a nice driver for it, but that worked good. Probably gonna order some new ones of these because they did try and strip a little bit. The heads tried to strip out a little bit, so I'll probably get some new ones. But I will use these ones to put it together for now. I'll put just probably a tab of blue Loctite on them because those screws actually were pretty loose, which in turn allowed this whole piece to come out maybe a millimeter or two, probably a millimeter-ish. And then all these gears get sandwiched in there by this motor and the motor plate. And that screws onto the bit that slides in there. So this is all ends up being one piece. Now when those screws backed off, it allowed some play back and forth of this whole piece, including when the motor's on there, of course. And that allowed enough room, I think, for these pins to be able to come out. I think it would have lasted a lot longer if that play wasn't in there, if those screws weren't loose. But it would have wrecked itself eventually because there is far more strain on the gears when these pins are not actually attached anymore. They'll still be in this plate, but if they're not welded in, there's going to be some play, a lot more forces on all the gears in there, and eventually you are going to have a failure. I luckily caught this before, well, it wouldn't have been able to work anymore, but it's good that I didn't try harder to break it, I guess you would say. Try and run it more. I'll definitely talk to get a hold of Toucan Hobbies. See if I can get a new plate coming. Probably get a whole new gear set, motor, and probably get a whole new piece coming as a spare. Planetaries are just, in RC stuff, planetaries go bad. That's just the nature of it. This could have been welded better. If it was welded better, this probably would have lasted years. The next thing would have been running out of grease because there was a decent amount of grease in there, but it's not good grease in my opinion. It was already starting to dry up and there's not that many hours on this machine, so. But yeah, it's kind of a long-winded little explanation here, but hopefully if something like this happens where you get intermittent stalling or some noise out of your planetaries, this is likely what it is. Pretty much all the screws I took out were fairly loose. None of them were tight to where I had to put really any pressure to break them loose. And that accounts for taking the whole assembly off the Dozer too. So yeah, Definitely, I don't know if that's just from vibrating loose or what, but yeah, definitely, if you have one, go over your screws and tighten them, and maybe look into these screws and tighten them too, and maybe order a whole separate assembly as a spare. All right, I know this was a bit long-winded, but thanks for watching, and we'll be back out there soon enough.